Hey guys, we're back at the workshop today. We're going to try to get the 929 started. But before we do, let's go over the bike one more time. As you seen in the last episode, we brought it here at the workshop to get looked at. And let's get started. So, where does that leave us? So, as you've seen just then, I turned the key and things on the dash came up. I couldn't hear the fuel pump prime, and that usually means maybe there's something wrong with the pump, because everything else is coming up on the dash. So I did my due diligence. As you noticed in the clip just then, I tapped onto the tank a couple of times. I'm trying to think, because we opened the tank and the tank was super clean. I didn't think like the fuel pump might be seized or anything like that. I looked at everything else and I'm thinking it's giving symptoms of something else, because when you turn the key, everything on the dash comes up, everything else is lighting up, but it's not getting spark or it's not getting fuel, or one of the two. But the fact that the fuel pump wasn't priming, I thought, well, maybe I'll start there. And as you can see, I pulled up the tank. I took the tank off, had a good look underneath. It was just a bit awkward in the shop to sort of put the camera under there. So after we tapped the old technique of getting like a little hammer and just give the pump a little bit of convincing, if you will, just a little bit of tap, the bike still wouldn't start. But at the same time, with experiences with Honda, with Mick in the workshop, he helped me diagnose it further. The symptoms on that bike was that of the HISS system, the security on Honda bikes. The issue with the HISS is it was too good. When you go get an old bike like that, Honda made it very difficult for people to steal these bikes back in the day, so you could just cut another key and get it going. The only thing we could put it down to before we delve further into bike and start taking shit apart and diagnosing things, Mick used a special tool in the workshop to work out that the injectors weren't getting any pulse, and it became evident at that point that like the bike wasn't getting injector pulse. So as a result, we put it down to a HISS issue, like a security issue. So the key, while it was turning, the security component of the bike was not telling the ECU to fire up and let the bike start. So with that suspicion, I contacted the owner of the bike that I bought it off, and I just mentioned it to him. Hey, by any chance, do you have any other keys to the bike? To which he replied, I'm fairly certain I do, because I remember he was riding this bike at the track a couple of years ago, so the bike was running. And in that regard, when he mentioned he had other keys, I'm like, well, if you have a moment, I'll come and pick it up. And lo and behold, we sort of put all this aside and we got the right key. So today we're going to try the right key. If we turn the key and the fuel pump primes, things are going to look promising, because that tells me everything's lining up, because all Hondas are pretty much the same. So let's go back out there and go from there, see what happens. So here we are, about to see moment of truth. As you can see, I've taken the side fairings off. Recommendation from Mick to start looking into the motor and other components. We've detected an oil leak. Doesn't look like anything major. As with old machinery, you got to look at these things. But we've come here to see if we can get the bike going, because we've got the right key now. Alright, here we are. We've hooked everything up. I'm so nervous because I waited like almost a week to get that key. I've hooked up the battery. Oh, forgot to turn this back on. So now it's on, it's all hooked up. I'm just double checking because you can see like it's connected properly. We've got the right key in there now. Okay, so what I'm hoping is going to happen here is from the moment I turn that key, everything on the dash should light up. But most importantly, we want to hear this fuel pump here prime. Moment of truth, guys. I'm going to flick this off because from the moment I turn the key, pushing that button is going to tell us if the fuel pump primes. Let's go. Voila. Everything is looking good here. This is it. Moment of truth, guys. Ooh. You guys heard that, right? That should essentially mean now if we push that button, the bike should start. Ooh, it almost did. There you have it. Just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. Listen. Is that a beautiful sound or what? And there you have it. The bike started with the right key. So the lesson here is there's heaps of diagnosis you can do, but sometimes it's the most simple thing. It all came down to Mick diagnosing it, going, those symptoms are very similar to the wrong key being used. And that sort of stopped me from taking stuff apart, doing multiple testing and whatnot, saved me a lot of time. And that's where like the tricks of the trade really come in and the experience really helps. So as soon as he mentioned it was the HISS issue, that put us down the path of contacting the guy, asking if he had spare keys, and he did, which he didn't mention because like when we got the key for this bike, as soon as put it in the barrel, turned and the dash lights came on, for us that told us, well, that's got to be the key. But turns out the security thing is completely separate. If the chip in the key doesn't match the HISS system, the bike will not start. So in this case, we were lucky enough that the owner had the right key to begin with. And once we were able to do that, as you've seen previously, the bike started and ran. And because it's been sitting for a while, in our next episode, we're going to take the next steps. As you can see, the fairings have been taken off. So now we're going to track down all the little niggly oil leaks and things like that, give it a good service, give it a good wash, and start prepping for the track. So plenty to look forward to more in the next episode. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching.